I was making a documentary film on cultures of longevity, and I went and interviewed a man by the name of Randy, who is an avid CrossFitter. And he changed his diet from a kind of standard meat-based, maybe even toward the paleo end, toward a plant-based diet, just plants. And I'm going to show you what happened in his life.
The type of training that I do, it's called CrossFit, and really you're constantly pushing your body to its limit to see if you can get it there and how fast you can get it there. And when I changed the way that I started to eat, I didn't tell anybody that I trained with. I was doing that because I know that the way they think, because of the stress that we put on our bodies on a regular basis, they would basically have said, oh, you're crazy, you're gonna fall apart, you're gonna lose strength, there's no way you're gonna be able to complete what we do.
I went to a plant-based diet about 10 months ago, and I have seen a huge change, and I have never felt better. It's completely transformed my life. So much so that after 2 or 3 weeks of trying a plant-based diet and really feeling awesome, my husband said, I want to do what you're doing.
So my wife started doing this before I did, and I didn't follow what she was doing. I kind of did my own thing, and that got to be a little difficult just because we were both eating so differently at meals.
At first he was very resistant and going, I'm not going to do that. I'm a meat and potatoes guy. You know, I believe in this Western diet. This is what I was raised in. It'll be fine. And then he saw how great I felt, and he said, that's it. That's all the convincing that I need.
4 weeks in, my body, it was very strange. My body started basically just pushing out the toxins, and my back completely broke out. So it's pretty crazy how your body reacts and gets rid of the things that it figures out it really doesn't need.
After about 3 weeks of doing it, my husband saw a huge difference in me. He didn't want to do it with me because he said, it's too hard, it's too much, I like to work out, I need my protein, where am I going to get my protein, which is the biggest misconception.
And I would just refer them to the gorilla. You know, what does the gorilla eat? Look at his muscles and then go see what he eats.
Where does the cow we eat get his or her protein? And the answer, of course, is we get adequate protein from plants.
By the government's own admission, depending on your sex and weight, they say you need between 45 and 54 grams of protein a day as a recommended minimum. The average plant-based protein intake, that is a person who's not eating any animal products at all on a plant-based diet, they're getting about 85 grams of protein a day.
So when Randy told me he was vegan, I totally didn't believe him. I mean, I really didn't. He was like, yeah, I'm vegan. Because I was asking him what his diet plan was, because the guy's like super shredded and super cut. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm vegan. I was like, what? I saw how he lasted longer than I did during some of the workouts. I would think I'd be better because I'm younger and I have like really good cardiovascular, but he's in like amazing shape.
It's helped me be lighter, it's helped me be faster, it's helped my endurance.
He's always pushing it to the next level. He has the ability to go longer than everybody else. And that is because he's vegan, and it's sad to say, because I'm not.
The way that I eat and the way that I fuel myself, because I look at it as fuel, I don't look at it as just food for my body. I think it's set me apart from some of the other folks that I go and work with every day.
So I immediately felt better going plant-based. In fact, I got stronger physically. I went from being able to overhead shoulder press, 225 for reps. Next thing you know, I was able to do 275. My recovery time was a whole lot quicker.
The other day, a man just broke the world record for lifting, and he's a vegan power is what he screamed out after, lifting that weight.
Of course, many athletes have decided to go plant-based because it actually helps with endurance.
Since 1968, the winning athletes in the Olympics, the people placed in the top 4 positions since 1968 in long-distance running events have been from Kenya and Ethiopia. Diets of starch, corn, for example. 80% of their diet from starches.
The reason I started doing this is because my wife decided she wanted to do this.
I love telling people my story. I love sharing that. And then it's really cool to see the people grab onto it and change in their lives. And so I think the social benefit for me is being able to share what I've learned and help other people feel better.
And so they just feel better. Everywhere the blood flows, everywhere that perfect circulation goes, they feel better. Not just in body, but in mind. Clears up their thoughts even.
And every single day since I've been on a plant-based diet, the clarity continues to increase and my face continues to look younger, and my body feels like I feel like I look more vibrant. I've looked at pictures of myself before and after, and I look 5 years older, even just 10 months ago, than I do now.
What we eat does get turned into neurotransmitters. It actually helps us or hurts us, depending on what we're eating in regards to our brain chemistry. And it plays a vital role in health of the brain.
They'll say within 3 or 4 days, they seem to have clarity. They're alert. They listen in class better. They absorb more, and they do better on their tests.
The fog has been lifted out of my head. I think clearer. I've got better ideas, I believe. I can put 2 and 2 together faster, and just in general, I'm happier.
Did you know that the only American weightlifter that made it to the Rio Olympics, the only American weightlifter was vegan? Kendrick Ferris is the only guy that could make it in the United States, could make it to the Olympics, and the guy's a vegan. Not only that, he has the record for the 94 kilogram class, which is like 207 pound class, which is how big he is. He has the record for being the best in the United States. Now, this is crazy. How could it be that no meat-eating person could beat him? My point is not that everybody eating plants is stronger. That's not my point. My point is you can be just as good. The reality is that you look at certain sports teams out there, like even in football, just a couple years back, the Tennessee Titans had like 14 or 15 of their players that were totally vegan. And they did better, their team was doing better as they were eating that way. I mean, this is incredible. And they say time and time again, you hear these sports players who say it, they say, as I did this, I began to get more energy. My recovery phase was so much faster. And I just had more stamina. And I know some people say out there, yeah, it's like a honeymoon phase. It works for a few months or it works for a few years, but you go 5, 10 years and your body just starts breaking down. That's a nice story, but it can be true if you eat a junk food vegan diet, like Oreos and like, junk food. You could eat potato chips and junk food, and yeah, your body will probably start breaking down, because junk food is junk food. Doesn't matter if it's plant-based or if it's animal-based. But if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, I interviewed a man who was 100 years old, had been a vegan for 50 years. At 100 years old, this guy's mowing his lawn. How many 100-year-old, and he was a doctor, so he didn't have to mow his lawn. He did it because he liked it. He built a 2-story house when he was 80 years old because he was so fit, and his friends are like, bro, what are you doing? You probably don't call an 80-year-old bro, but his friends are like, brother, what are you doing? You're building a 2-story house. You're 80 years old. You don't want to go up and down those stairs like that. And you know what he said? He said, actually, because he's one of the top, he did die now, over like 104, I think it was, but he said, I read a study in a medical journal that people who had 2-story houses and would go up and down the stairs something like 20 times a week, that they ended up having like 40% lower risk of heart attack. So he said, I like going up and down the stairs. Well, it worked for him. He did perfectly fine. Not only that, you say, okay. Well, was he breaking down after 50 years of a plant-based diet? No, he actually was doing heart surgery on a heart surgery team until the age of 95. Was he breaking down? I guess, yeah, he was breaking down because he retired. He did at 95, right? So if that's breaking down, I'll take it. So do you break down because of a plant-based diet? Someone might say, Chad, but what about B12? Yeah, it's probably good to supplement with B12. That's the one thing that you just can't get. But if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, generally you're not going to be getting B12. But did you know that after the age of 55, even meat eaters are told that they should be supplementing with B12 because they struggle to get enough of it after the age of 55? I had a 90-year-old grandpa, ate meat his entire life, was B12 deficient. had to get B12 shots. So anybody can have that problem. So other than B12, that's the only real negative. And guess what? It's not like we live in a world where there's no B12. You can just buy the stuff real cheap at the store, buy it on Amazon, wherever it is. And so in reality, this diet, I'm not here to force anybody, but the idea that you have to be thin and skinny, you might be thinking, Chad, you're kind of thin and skinny. I am. It's easy to be thin and skinny as a plant-based eater, but you don't have to be. You can be as big as you possibly want to. You just got to eat a whole lot more food. The reason the research shows that plant-based eaters are thinner is because there's just not as much caloric density in the food. That's the reason they're thinner. But you can if you really want to. If you want to eat refined foods or ton of nuts and those kind of things, yeah, you can gain weight and you can get bigger. But I just happen to feel my knees feel better when I'm thin. And so we got to work with our own bodies. But you know, I just wanted to share with you, you get all the protein you eat if you eat a diverse plant-based diet, unless you were just eating sugar. If you were just eating sugar, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to get enough protein. But otherwise, if you eat, you know, grains and beans and nuts and vegetables, there's tons of, you know, even in simple vegetables, you're going to get all the protein you need. You're going to be just packed full of nutrition. So don't worry about it. If you choose to go that route, probably just take a B12 vitamin maybe once a week here and there, and you'll be good to go. Now, if you got any suggestions, if you got anything you'd like to say, share it down below. All the best. God bless and have a fantastic day.